Okay, so we're now live streaming, so we can begin anytime you're ready, Mayor Eady.
Okay, so just shortly after 7, so we'll call the meeting to order. I'll ask for the calling of the roll, please.
Mayor Eady,
Present.
Reeve Eman,
Present.
Councillor Koulis, Councillor Evans,
Present.
Councillor Hines,
Sorry, present.
right? Councillor Jemison,
Present.
Councillor Sydney.
Present.
We do have a quorum, Your Worship.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Okay, the first motion. McKenna Moran, Marketing Communications student with the Clerk's Department, appear before council to provide an overview of her summer work activities. Over, please. Councillor Jemison, second by Councillor Sydney.
Hey, I'm just having McKenna join us right here now. She'll be there she is. She's popping up.
Hi.
So welcome. And I see Councillor Koulis is now joining us as well. So we'll just give one moment for him to come in. Okay. I think everyone can hear me now. So I'm very pleased to introduce council in case you haven't had the occasion to meet McKenna before, but this is McKenna Moran, and McKenna is our marketing communication student with us this summer. It's been, I guess, a bit of a different summer with regards to McKenna's employment, because McKenna, because of the COVID-19, has done the majority of her work from home. She has been into the office on several occasions, but like the rest of us, the COVID-19 has changed the workplace, and certainly for our summer student, McKenna certainly was a little bit different than she was used to last summer. So McKenna was with us last summer as well, working in the Tourist Information Center, and did a fabulous job. We're excited to be able to get her back this year, and McKenna's been focusing a lot on marketing and communications, and hopefully members of council has seen some of her work if you've followed the web page, social media, and blogs. McKenna is at the University of Guelph, entering her second year in a BCom program with their major in marketing. So again, quite pleased to have McKenna with us. I thought it important that we do kind of a bit of a debrief on what McKenna's been working at throughout the summer, and to kind of showcase a little bit of that work. So I'm going to turn it over to you, McKenna. I have the screen share enabled, so hopefully council will be able to see what you put up, and I will share a copy of the presentation to council after the fact. So thank you.
So thank you for introducing me, and thanks for the opportunity to let me show you guys what I've been working on this summer. So I'm going to start with what I've been doing on the social media pages. So on the social media pages, I try to post almost daily because I really want to keep it up, and I want to try to get more likes and follows, and I want more people to interact with the pages. So some of the ideas that I've had is every Tuesday, I've been posting trivia questions about different places in Renfrew. So every Tuesday I'll pick a different place, whether it's the parks or a museum or the swinging bridge, and I'll ask 3 to 4 questions about them. So as you can see, there's usually like 4 different options, and people can pick what they think the right answer is. And they can also learn new things that they might not have known about Renfrew and these different places. And a lot of people usually answer the questions and they seem to really like it. I get a lot of good feedback on this. So next, every Thursday, I do Throwback Thursday posts where I pick a different historic place in Renfrew, and I do a little write-up just including some facts, some history facts that people might not know. Most of these facts I do find in the Story of Renfrew book that I got from the library, So I think it's really cool that I share these things with people because a lot of this information you can't really find online, and some people might not know that. So some places that I've included is Aikenhead's Drugstore, the O'Brien Theater, and Low Square, and every Thursday I do a different place. So next, once a week I try to do a blog post, and in these blog posts I pick different categories and I do like write-ups about them, and I include different businesses and activities in Renfrew. So some of the different blogs that I've written is I did one about pets. So I included different groomers and pet stores and animal hospitals in Renfrew. And then I also did one about restaurants and pizza places and food trucks. I did one about how to celebrate Father's Day, where I included different activities and places that you can get gifts and treats for your father. And then I did one about summer activities for kids. And I include pictures and links to all the businesses that I mentioned too, so people can easily find them and find more information. And all these blogs, you can find the link in the social media bios too, or you can go onto the Renfrew website and it's right on the bottom and you can read all of the previous blog posts. I also try to highlight local businesses. I try to do a few a week because I want to try to show as many as I can. I try to highlight the ones that I don't usually include in the blog posts that don't really fit into a certain category, or the ones that I can't really do a history piece on. So some of the ones I've done is Shantu & Co., Mill Music, Renfrew Printing. I've done a lot of other ones. If you scroll through like the social media pages, you'll probably see them. I just try to talk about the services that they offer, where they're located, the products that they sell, and I include some pictures also. And then I also do interactive posts. So these I mostly did in May when businesses weren't really open, and I was trying to think of ways to still promote businesses and talk about them and keep them in people's minds. So some of the things that I did is I did a Renfrew activities bingo where people could cross off all of the activities that they've done in Renfrew, and then they can repost it onto their social media page. And I did a this or that Renfrew edition, which is where people can look at the two options and they can pick which one they prefer or which one they've done before, and then they can repost it on their account also. And I would try to ask people questions and post their responses. I would ask questions such as, what are you looking forward to do when businesses reopen? And what would you like to see us feature? And a lot of people would answer the questions and I would share their answers with others. This is just a way to keep the businesses in people's minds still and kind of promote them, even though they're not open and people can't go to them. But I was hoping that it would get people excited to be able to do these things once things began to reopen. So I've been keeping track of all of the analytics at the end of each month for the social media pages. So as you can see here, I keep track of the followers and I see if they've increased or decreased. I keep track of the posts and the likes, comments, and engagement. And I write whether they went up or went down. And they've mostly been going up since May, which is really good because if we can compare the analytics from May to August, I can see if the different marketing strategies I've been doing have been working and have been getting more engagements and more followers and likes. So I think this is a really good idea and good evidence to see if the things I've been doing work or not. One of the big projects that I worked on is a bluegrass magazine. So these are some of the pages that I made. So the first one is the cover, and then I did a few pages about Renfrew. The downtown Renfrew page is just an example. So it just has random writing and doesn't have any pictures yet. But I also did some pages about the bands and about other things with the festival. But I just thought I would show you guys the ones that I did about Renfrew because it would be nice if we could feature some of the highlights in Renfrew. So people visiting the festival may go visit the downtown or visit the museums and the swinging bridge and things like that. I also created a social media calendar, and I started the calendar in May of 2020 and made it all the way until April of 2021. So this just helps me stay organized. And as you can see, I scheduled when I'm going to post things on the social media pages. And this will help me then in the months that I'm not working through the fall and the winter. And it will help me be able to schedule posts to post throughout the year when I'm not working. And then also Jennifer and I have been working on a wayfinding sign, and we've mainly been focusing on a history part of the sign. So these are all pictures that I took around town, that we're going to include on the sign, hopefully. And I also wrote historic bits about different places in Renfrew that we're going to include on the sign as well. So I go through the social media pages feed and I share posts on Facebook and Instagram about events happening in Renfrew as well, and businesses that are reopening and fundraisers. So because a lot of people follow the social media pages for the town of Renfrew. So by sharing things that other businesses post, then hopefully more people can see them. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on the things that I've been doing from people in the community and from businesses. We had some business owners email us and thanking us for featuring them on our page. I've also had people share posts and comment thanking us for featuring them. I've seen lots of comments from people in the community saying that they love seeing businesses featured and they love learning history facts and they really like doing trivia. And I also use websites such as Canva and Hootsuite to help me. So on Canva, I created all the templates that you've seen throughout this presentation. And I just think it's really helpful because it catches people's attention. I think having a nice template for a post like draws people into it more than just a plain picture. And I use Hootsuite to schedule posts. I schedule posts for the Ottawa Valley Love Letter campaign, for the fire safety posts, tax due dates, water due dates, things like that. And this will also help me throughout the year to be able to schedule posts to post on all social media pages, which would be Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And this is really helpful because then I can complete that for the rest of the summer. I can schedule things to post when I'm not working, and I can work on more content, such as featuring local businesses and some blogs that will be able to post on their own throughout the year. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I've been able to learn so much with this job. It'll definitely help me in the future for my career. And I've been able to learn so much about Renfrew, like doing this job, and I really enjoy working for the town. So
Thank you very much, McKenna. I'll turn it over now. Does any council members have comments or questions? Councillor Koulis.
I just like to ask McKenna if they have or you have the ability to track how much attention the blogs and so on bring us.
So I can't track exactly how many people look at the blogs, but on Twitter and on Facebook, I can see how many people have clicked the link. So I did include that in the analytics. There is a column that says link clicks for each month. And I can go onto Facebook too and see how many people have clicked the link, which I'm assuming means they probably did read the blog. I can't see on Instagram, and I can't see from the Town of Renfrew website how many people have seen it, but I can track it on Facebook and on Twitter.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, I don't see anybody wanting to say anything.
Mayor Sandy, or Mayor Sandy, Councillor Hines has her hand up. I think.
Okay, I'm sorry, Councillor Hines, I can't see on my screen, so.
Oh, no problem. I just want to say, McKenna, that was a great presentation. And it is really awesome what you've done and all the different avenues you've chose to showcase Renfrew. There is a lot to showcase for it. And I think you've done an awesome job just from our little snippet of what we've seen. So I look forward to seeing that presentation that Kim's going to provide to us, and going on to the site again and going through some of those things. I have heard some really good comments about the site, and really appreciate the work you've done on it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Rebimo.
Thank you, and thank you for that presentation. I have been following your postings on Twitter, and they're very professionally done. They're very clean, they're neat, they're tidy, and they're quite eye-catching. So I think I was impressed with that right from the get-go. But in seeing the rest of the stuff too, that's been very good as well. So thank you for that. That's something that we've always needed, was almost instantaneous messaging, as instant as you can be on social media. And I think that's, I think we all agreed that's something we've been lacking. So that's given us a very good preview of what is possible. So thank you for that. It's a very professionally done job.
Thank you.
Clerk Bulmer.
Well, I just wanted to jump in when I had the chance just to again thank McKenna for agreeing to participate this evening. She did an incredible job, and it certainly showcases what's possible. The fact that communication is so powerful, and I certainly see perhaps it's the a generational thing, but having someone that's younger and more adapt to social media can certainly use that as a very important tool. And we're certainly going to miss McKenna when she leaves. But it was interesting. She had mentioned on a couple of occasions during her presentation that she's been able to schedule posts that will happen even in her absence. So, and some of these are the tools that we've invested in, and with committee support and council support, platforms like Hootsuite, and she mentioned Canva as a platform to use in some of her work. So certainly I think it's been money well spent, and the communications again is becoming more and more a very necessary tool for municipalities in order to get their messaging out. So thank you again.
Well, thank you, everyone, for comments. McKenna, just personally, I'd like to say thank you on behalf of the people of the town of Renfrew and the business community, especially from the town of Renfrew. Marketing, of course, the town is no different than any other normal business. Without marketing, you kind of fall behind. So I think you've done a wonderful job, and thank you. And I hope you've enjoyed your time at Renfrew. So thank you very much.
Thanks, I have for sure.
Okay. Everybody in favor? Carried. Okay. That the minutes of the special meeting the council held electronically on July 29th, 2020 be adopted as printed. Mover, please. Councillor Hines, seconded by. Anybody want to second the motion?
Councillor Evans.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't see Councillor Evans on the screen. Councillor Evans, second the motion. Thank you. Any questions or comments on the minutes? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Okay. That the minutes of the special meeting of council held electronically on August the 5th, 2020 be adopted as printed. Mover, please. Councillor Jamison, second by Councillor Koulis. Again, any questions or comments? There he is. Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. That the communication from downtown Renfrew Business Improvement Area concerning a request to approve a new proposed route for the 2020 Santa Claus Parade be received. I further that Renfrew Town Council approve the new proposed parade route as outlined in the request that will see staging take place at the Renfrew Fairgrounds before heading through the downtown. Mover, please. Councillor Evans, seconded by. I don't see everybody on the screen, so.
Councillor Hines is up, Your Worship.
Okay, Councillor Hines, second by Councillor Hines. I don't know, Kirk Bomer, if we can get all the council members back on the screen.
Yeah, it's just a matter of managing your own view, but I just council's on the screen now, so that may help.
Okay, well, I still don't see Councillor Hines.
So your view is altered, and we're going to have to.
What do I got to do?
So up in the top right corner, you should have a little, maybe like a Rubik's Cube looking box.
Okay.
If you hit that, you might get a better view.
Well, by darn, you're absolutely right. It all worked. How are you doing, Councillor Hines? Okay. We have a mover and a seconder on this, I believe, don't we?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or comments on it? Okay. Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Okay. That the minutes of the Planning Advisory Committee meeting held July the 7th, 2020 be received. Mover, please. Councillor Hines, seconded by Councillor Evans. Turn it over to Councillor Hines for the report. You're on mute, Councillor Hines.
My goodness, I always do that. Sorry. This is our meeting of July the 7th. We will be having another meeting tomorrow night. Our meetings are usually Tuesday, but because our August meeting was tonight, planning and committee of adjustment are going to be happening tomorrow night. We did have a presentation from Tawny Stinson in regard to backyard chickens. There's a request that has come forward, and she made a presentation on the positives of having backyard chicken coops and how that might work, and that some other municipalities do have that. We have deferred that to our next council, or our next, planning meeting, which is tomorrow night, pending further information. There's a lot to be considered when you're looking at urban chickens or backyard chickens, and council has received, I'm sure, several letters. I know I have in my mailbox in regard to the pros and cons about this. I just will mention that there was a petition online, I guess, circulating in favor of that, but I think it's important to note that when those petitions come forward, that it is the people of Renfrew that need to be represented in them. I know that there were several people from Sudbury and other places that were getting on the bandwagon that this is a positive thing. So I think that we're looking for the consideration from the citizens of Renfrew, but thanks for being interested if you're from Sudbury in our urban chickens and backyard chickens. So tomorrow night, the Planning Advisory Committee will be entertaining this again, and either coming forward with a recommendation or turning it down. And then it will be up to council to make the final decision. We also, that was the public meeting. We had a presentation. That was the presentation of to the planning committee. We reviewed the minutes of June 2nd, which have already been to council on June 23rd. Then we had a public meeting in regard to the application for 436 Lisgar Avenue, which is the proposed Town Works yard and garage zoning bylaw amendment. We did have a delegation headed up by Doug Miller that presented to Renfrew Council in regard to some of their concerns over noise level, diesel fumes, decrease in property value, Mary Avenue and Tupper Street traffic volumes, desire to have an in-person public meeting, and rezoning would impact future housing development. So the planner was able to address a lot of those things, and Mike Asplin, our Director of Development Works, was there to answer some of the questions also in regard to the proposed town garage and how we might work with the people of that area to make it a more suitable design of the yard and where the traffic would come out. As you know, our town garage presently is on Lisgar, and I mean, there is traffic going in and out of there. The biggest concern was the traffic coming out onto Tupper Street. So the development works and the design folks have taken that into consideration, or will be taking that into consideration. And this is again coming back to the planning board tomorrow evening. Just in regard to the town garage rebuilding, that is something that's in our capital forecast. And I just want to clarify that whenever something is put in the 10-year capital forecast at council or at budget time, that it still does come before council when it's ready to be worked on or ready to be funded. And that's where this sits at this time also. It was in the capital budget for, I believe, 2021. And so this is just the lead up to that and the preamble of where that might be located. So we will be dealing with that again tomorrow night. We did have a report from the planner in regard to, it is a preliminary report in regard to the backyard chickens and how we might move forward on that. But once again, as I said, we are having more information. A gentleman, Alan Darn from OMAFRA will be coming to speak to us in regard to that and all the considerations that need to go into should we be moving in that avenue. We also talked about temporary garages. We do have a bylaw presently. The planner put together a draft zoning bylaw with some amendments to that. We haven't really had any big problems with that at this time, but we are looking to ensure that people are able to do that, but in a manner so that it doesn't interfere with traffic, vision, like your vision onto the street or with neighboring properties. So that will be also coming forward with the draft will be coming forward. All of these items will require a public meeting. We had the information in regard to a potential funeral home or a funeral business, I should say. And the owner was just seeking some preliminary feedback as to the location. So he's going to be talking to the businesses that are within the same building or the same strip mall. And then if he's going to move forward, that a zoning amendment application will come forward. We again talked about the A-frame signs. We had some feedback from the BIA. They're very interested in that kind of conformity and consistency in that type of signage. And again, staff will be providing a recommendation on the next steps to do that. In regard to, we always go over new applications and ongoing developments. So the planning committee is brought up to date on what planning is actually working on. So the Lapine project has provided a site plan application for the first building, which is now under review by staff, and we'll be seeing information come forward in regard to that. We have a minor variance application which was received, and that will be coming to Committee of the Adjustment tomorrow night. There is a restaurant developer still interested in O'Brien Road, and they are doing a traffic report. And so that will move forward with that project. The province has eased the process requirement for temporary use bylaw, for example, patios, and we are seeing several patios that are up and running. And although there are still, when patios are developed on municipal properties, such as the sidewalk, there is a process that needs to be followed to ensure that for the safety of the patrons using it and possible issues that the town is covered for that. So we are working through a couple of those, and we actually have one tomorrow evening to deal with. And I have had many calls in regard to some issues with that, and we will be talking about that at planning tomorrow evening. In regard to the Art Factory, they're still moving forward, and they have received additional funding that they anticipate that they can move on with their project. They have had 2 art shows now, and are attracting a fair number of people to see their establishment and be a part of that. And that's exciting for Renfrew. And I will say that they have done a great job with that old factory building. And I think we're fortunate to have somebody develop that. It's an interesting piece of property, to say the least. But I mean, he's done a very good job of refurbishing it. Encroachment agreements, again, that's to do with patios and encroaching on municipal property. And as I mentioned, we will be dealing with the application before us tomorrow evening at the planning. We reviewed the financial statements, and that was about it. We were, there's nothing to report other than that. So I don't know if there's any questions. I would be pleased to answer them or have the mayor help me answer them. He is the co-member there.
Council Jamison, did you have your hand up?
Arlene? Yeah.
Sorry. I just have one quick question.
Sure.
What time is your meeting tomorrow night?
It is at 6, just 1 second here. I will make sure.
Committee of Adjustment at 5, and then
Yeah,
planning probably
5:30 for Committee of the Adjustment. Planning Advisory Committee meeting, oh, sorry, is at 5:30, right? Is that correct? Oh, a second here. 1 second. I do have that. Yes, at 5 o'clock is Committee of the Adjustment, and at 5:30 is the planning meeting. Now, the thing is that we are still doing it virtually. So if you are interested in being a part of it, you would need to contact Carolyn or the planner so that you can link into the Zoom meeting. But you're more than welcome to be a part of that.
Okay, so it's the planning that you're dealing with, the encroachment and the chicken thing?
Yes,
The
chicken.
urban chickens? Okay,
Yes,
okay,
that will be at 5:30.
okay, perfect. That's all I
So-
wanted to know.
Yeah, so please call them and
Yeah.
join us. Yeah.
I will.
And
Thank you.
that goes for anyone, the general public that's interested, because we are still doing meetings electronically through Zoom. You need to have the link to join in. So if you are a member of the public, please call the Development Works Department and get yourself the link to get in. All right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Revimo.
Yes, thank you. You made note of a traffic study on O'Brien Road. Is that the same one that was referenced in the D&W minutes last month?
Yes, I
And
believe so. For the restaurant development.
I believe so.
Yeah, that is the same.
Okay, is there an opportunity for it to be presented to council at some point? And
Oh, yes, we were just being brought up to date on what they were working on. That was just under the new applications and ongoing development, so that the planning is kind of in tune with what's coming forward, or what's like some of these things, such as the Lapine Apartments and the Art Factory we've dealt with before, but just where that's at this time. So we always have a little summary about what's going on. So I would think that it would be coming to Development Works and then to planning.
Okay.
Okay.
Revimo.
okay, so how do I get my hands on a copy of this, just to satisfy my curiosity?
All right, I would suggest that you speak with Director Aslin or the planner, and just to know where that's at and that it's completed and what it says.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, that would be part of, whenever they do bring that application, that they'd have to bring site plan forward, that would, I assume, would be part of the application.
Okay, and
Or
I
it's
guess if I
certainly
might,
looking for that myself.
will a copy of it be going to finance or anything? Because if it impacts the asset management plan, stuff like that, those are the kinds of questions I have more than anything else.
Okay. How are you thinking it might affect the asset management plan? I'm just a little curious on that.
Traffic study on a on a route through town.
Okay.
Usually traffic studies mean there's some change expected either presently or in the future.
Okay, okay, I get it, yeah. Whether it's a stoplight or a turn or whatever, yeah. Okay, well, yes, it would, I mean, it's within the Development and Works Department, and hopefully they would bring it forward to the Development and Works, because that's where the funds would come from, or be worked on where they might come from.
Where they'd be allocated from, true.
Does that answer it for you? Sorry, Councillor Koulas, you have an
Yeah.
answer to that?
That would be it, yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah. All right,
Okay, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Opposed? Okay, the minutes of the Finance Committee meeting held July 23rd, 2020 be received. Mover, please. Councillor Evans, seconded by Councillor Hines. A very short report. We had a quick update from Treasurer Riley on the COVID. The electronic entrance signs were spoke about, and I believe that'll come back to finance again. There was some questions on that. We were a little surprised, I think, at the figure of $340,000 to put up 4 signs. There was another request to waive development charges, and that's self-explanatory. That'll be coming back to finance as well. Everything else on here, I believe, is basically on the Finance Committee or on our agenda to be spoke later on. So that's it. Is there any questions or comments? Councillor Hines.
I just have one comment in regard to the signs. I know that we've been dealing with this for some time, and
You've muted yourself, Councillor Hines.
sometimes that's a blessing, right? But not right now. I just said that we have dealt with this sign issue several times, and the funds are available at this time, and they could be, we have funds available to pay for this. And although it is a big cost, I think that we are looking to Director Hill to do a little research with some of the other municipalities that have these signs, and how they've seen them work and how positive it has been for them to have these type of signs. And I think with our presentation from McKenna, I think that shows how communication and getting the people of the community involved in whether it's the history of the community. I think that these signs have a big role to play in regard to communication. And as we did emphasize, perhaps it is time that we have someone that would be putting the messaging out on these signs, and maybe doing some other duties that fall within communication and marketing. So anyway, I'm looking forward to that report coming back, and for us to make that decision on moving forward with that. Yeah.
Councillor Sidney.
I'm going to agree with Councillor Hines. I think in the world we live in now, and again, obviously with McKenna's presentation and how far the town has come forward with new technologies and trying to engage tourism and the citizens of Renfrew, I think it's something that an added asset to the town of Renfrew, and I think it would bring us up to a level that we would end up seeing more participation in events. We'd see more engagement within the community. Not everybody's on Facebook, not everybody's, but I also think that Director Hill has the ability to really look at this and come up with best possible scenarios and present it in a way that could be very beneficial to the town. So I think it's time for it. I know it's been something that's been talked about even 6 years ago. So I'm glad to see that this is something that is on the potential.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. We talked about it, and what became apparent, 4 years ago, we talked about the ability to message in the event of some kind of an emergency. And I think, when you see the Smiths Creek line that broke a couple of years ago, and then with COVID, and also with all the construction updates. So the messaging, is twofold. One is the safety issue. The other is also then information for people, because we have a lot of people coming into our community. It's a hub community for the larger region, and then also for people passing through either on 17 or on 60. So I think it's an important messaging piece. It'll go a long way with our whole strategy. And again, tonight's presentation, as has been noted, really drove home to us the importance of getting out messages about the community and about our businesses, but also about our activities. And as we ramp up and have more activities, those boards, I think, will be invaluable in terms of driving traffic to our community events. So it's not just a benefit to the town, but it'll be a benefit to a lot of community groups at the same time. So, with the utilization of the modernization funding, that's a very good opportunity for us. And part of what we talked about too was trying to generate some revenue from it, and then turning that revenue into some kind of reserve so that we could upgrade it, the circuit boards in the future, upgrade the signs in the future. So we're going to try and develop a plan that mitigates the costing and the cost increases to the infrastructure of the boards as well. They're high quality boards. I think you're going to,
Well, I'm looking forward to the report coming back at some point in the future. So, Councillor Hines.
Just, sorry, one more comment, and I meant to finish off saying in regard to the funding of it, we do have monies that we received in 2019 in regard to the modernization funding. And this would be one of the projects that could fit in to the criteria for that funding. So, and as Reeve Ema mentioned, that indeed, I think that we can be very innovative, whether it's advertising on the signs or, allowing community groups to put some messaging on there for a small amount of money, that I think that we're able to sustain these signs. And I totally agree with Councillor Sidney's comments of how important it is for this. We've seen that in the past for sure.
Okay, any other questions or comments on the minutes? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Okay, further to the Finance Committee meeting. The Redford Town Council adopt the leak adjustment policy as presented. Mover, please. Councillor Hines, second by Reeve Emo. Turn it over to Treasurer O'Reilly for his report.
Thank you, Mary. Good evening. This is a policy that's been in place since 2009. There are two minor adjustments to this policy that the committee has recommended. The first one being that it's no longer called a one-time leak adjustment. So the policy is now just called a leak adjustment. And the reason for that is that if you look at section item 4.5 on page 3, you'll see that the committee is now recommending that we allow an adjustment of one adjustment per property once every 10 years. What's happening is that the meters that were installed a while ago, there's concern that they're starting to be less functioning less well. However, the leak adjustment deals specifically with the infrastructure that is the property of the homeowner. So this is provides a bit of relief if somebody does have the misfortune of having a second leak during their ownership of a particular property. Other than that, the policy reflects what was there before, with just that, as I said, just those two minor changes to no longer call it one time, and to specify that the adjustment is available once every 10 years per property, not per property owner.
You're on mute, Mary D.
Any questions or comments? Councillor Hines.
I just have one comment in that the policy is very well written and that it really lays out what happens if a homeowner should ask for that type of relief, that there is a specific form and a specific format that has to be done in a timely manner. And that, you know, we need to see that the repairs are done so this won't continue to happen. So it's very well laid out about how this works. So if anybody needs this, all you need to do is ask for that form.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Okay, the Renfrew Town Council adopt the proceeds from the sale of town-owned lands policy as presented. Again, I'll call on Treasurer O'Reilly.
Thank you again, Mayor Eady. This is a new policy. It's one that it goes hand in hand, as it references at the top. It goes hand in hand with the town's sale and other disposition of land policy as far as the terminology and those sorts. This is to deal specifically with the proceeds from the sale of any land that's town owned. This is one that we haven't had. And there has been a bit of discussion the last 2 years as the town has been successful in selling a couple of lots, one on Froats and one on O'Brien Road, for example. And through different discussions during the budget process and at finance committee meetings, I've heard it commented that the proceeds from those sales should be used for A, B, C, and D. And in the absence of a policy to establish a reserve for that, any proceeds in the sale go into general surplus and in that sense into unallocated reserves. So the intent of this would be to establish a new reserve that the net proceeds on the sale of any town-owned land would go into a separate reserve for the enhancement of economic development for the community. So the wording is, it's a fairly brief policy. I think it touches the main points that are required. And as I said, it does go hand in hand with the current bylaw number 3-2012, which deals with the town, how the town goes about selling property in the first place. So this sort of closes the loop as to what they do with the proceeds once a piece of property has been sold.
Any questions or comments? Councillor Jamison and then Reeve Emo, I believe.
Yeah, I just think that's a great idea that we're actually putting those funds someplace, and it's great that it's for we're using it for economic development. That's great.
Okay, Reeve Emo, you had a comment?
I did, thank you. Yeah, I think I can harken back to the Economic Development and Administration Committee put forward an idea similar to this about 18 months ago. And so I think it's the start of a strategy that's going to slowly emerge, and it'll be right-sized and the right strategy for the town. But again, I think it sends a pretty clear message that, that council and staff want to invest in the town and in progress in the town at the same time. So I'm all for it, and I think it's well written, and it's pretty clear about its purpose. And it's a matter of then applying it properly and strategically.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Okay. The Renfrew Town Council approved the following one-time grants to organizations for 2020. The Renfrew Agricultural Society, $2,000. Royal Canadian Air Force number 433 Wing, $2,000. Royal Canadian Legion Branch 148, $2,000. Renfrew and District Food Bank, $2,000, for a total of $8,000. Mover, please. Councillor Reeve Emo, second by Councillor Sidney. I'll turn it over again to Treasurer O'Reilly for his report.
Thank you once again, Mayor Eady. These 4 requests for financial support were referred to the Finance Committee at the last meeting of Council. At the meeting of Finance on August 7th, the committee considered the requests. Some of them were for COVID related, or I'd say 3 out of 4 of them are COVID related requests due to lost revenue as a result of not being able to host events, for example, the Renfrew Fair. and the hall rentals at both the Wing and the Legion. The request from the food bank was related more to the acquisition by the food bank of the former Salvation Army building, and related to the tipping fees relative to renovations they're doing, as well as a request to waive any development fees. And in fairness, the committee's approach was that these four organizations provide an invaluable service to the community, and that the amount of the grant should be the same for all four of them. The funding for this comes from the balance that remains in the grants to organizations budget. That budget's $19,000. There was still just over $3,000 remaining in it, so that fund is now committed. And council also has a public relations budget, and this would require an installment of $4,875 out of that public relations budget, which would still leave a balance of about $7,000 for the remainder of the year. So that would be my recommendation, that that $8,000 be financed out of those two accounts for the year 2020.
Okay, any questions or comments? Revimo.
Yes, thank you. We, as you recall, Your Worship, during discussion, and Treasurer O'Reilly touched on it, we recognize the value of these groups to our community. They've invested a lot of time and energy in people, maybe not so much in infrastructure and nuts and bolts, but in people in our community, and we're requesting help. We asked for a lot of information from the Agriculture Society with regards to the fair, and they provided some information for us. And one of the things they provided was that, as an example, was the City of Ottawa, I believe, provided $15,000 to their fairs in their community. When you take a look at the size of their budget, $15,000, I think our $2,000 is quite an investment by us. When you compare the budgets to both organizations. And we also offered, should they wish to take it up, the opportunity to organize a Zoom meeting with the MP and MPP to discuss further funding. I should note that I believe there was an announcement last week by Minister MacLeod of some $400 million for not-for-profit groups. I haven't read it as closely as I might as of yet, but I'm hoping that they're aware of it. It may be a partial answer for them.
Any other questions or comments? My comment on this would be, I look at these four organizations, and the Renfrew Food Bank is self-explanatory as to what they do and how many people they've helped within the town of Renfrew. It kind of feels good to have a little bit of a payback, in a sense, from there. And also the other three organizations, over the years, it's been literally, I would think I'd be very safe in saying, donation-wise, they're responsible in whole or in part for supplying the hall, et cetera, which has raised millions of dollars for this community. And you can think of RVH as an example, and I could go on and on and on in that. So I think this is a very worthwhile thing doing for these people at this particular time. They're all worthwhile organizations. And I look at particularly the Legion in a sense that we probably wouldn't have a Remembrance Day service if these people didn't exist. So I actually feel very good and very comfortable with this recommendation. Anyway, any other comments? Okay, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, the minutes of the Park, Recreation and Facilities Committee meeting held July 21st, 2020 be received. Mover, please. Councillor Sidney, second by Councillor Hines. Turn over to Councillor Sidney for his report. You're on mute, Councillor Sidney.
My bad. Just to go over the minutes, it was a brief, pretty brief meeting that we had. Just want to highlight a few things. We, through communications, we brought up just a discussion about an article that was forwarded to us from Revimo, just to make sure that the staff are regarded with their duty to report and stuff like that while working with children. There was some lawsuits that came up throughout the province that raised some awareness that we wanted to reiterate the importance of that. We looked at we received a request about an outdoor pickleball court. We did have Director Hill look into that. The cost would be anywhere between $25,000 to $40,000. And while we're in COVID right now, we're going to just hold off on that. The Genie Boom has already come to council at our last council meeting. That's already been resolved. The opening of the facility, the ice is in, and I believe they're actually using it at this point. Excuse me. So we are moving forward with the new COVID updates and the new restrictions, but the ice is in Mattaway Park and it's being utilized. And that's about all we talked about. There's the Mattaway Road. We're just still looking at that and figuring that out. Committee priorities is going to remain on there. The expansion project, we're still waiting for any updates from the province or the feds on where we're at with that. We just leave that on our agenda to have it every meeting just so we can keep updated on it as well. And that was about all we talked about.
Any questions or comments? Councillor Hines. You're on mute, Councillor Hines.
I just have two questions. The first one being on page 3, just in the comment after moved, I guess it is the motion actually, that the ice season at Mattaway Activity Center commence on August the 10th, and that the user pay for all scheduled ice times that are not rented by others used. I don't understand that last line. It
I think if
seems to either be missing something or I'm not
Director
catching it.
Hill would be better to answer that question. I know it's in regards to there's still unknowns as to what groups are going to use it due to COVID and all that stuff.
Okay.
So it's more on the lines of that we put the ice in, and if you book it but you still don't have it, you still have to pay for it because we will lose money, kind of a thing. But
Okay.
I'll get Director Hill if he wouldn't mind.
Okay, that makes sense now. It just doesn't, when you first read it, I just wasn't sure what it said.
You're okay with it then?
Yes.
Okay.
The only other question I have is, I don't want to put Director Hill on the spot, but I'm sure he's on top of this. I just was wondering if he's able to just briefly highlight what facilities are open and up and running, such as the fields, the ice surface, and the rec center. I just wondered if you might highlight that just so briefly.
Okay, Director Hill, do you wish to comment on that?
Yes, no problem. We have been opening our facilities as directed by the province through the release of opportunities for the as COVID releases have become available to us. So we have pretty much opened all of our facilities. The problem is that there are restrictions and protocols in place for all of our facilities. Unfortunately, there are regulations that restrict the usages of some of our facilities. We've had a couple of events canceled due to protocol not being met or regulations within the regulations. But all facilities are open with restrictions in place. And we're doing our best to, as we work through the first week of COVID issues or COVID usage at the Mattaway Activity Center. It seems to be going well. The first couple of days have worked well. We did have some setbacks in the ball facilities with being shut down because of a league issue. But again, we're working with the health unit to try and provide as much services and programming and activities as we can.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Okay, that the minutes of the Waste Management Committee meeting held July the 6th, 2020 be received. Mover, please. Reeve Emo, seconded by Councillor Sedney. Turn over to Reeve Emo for his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. We had a meeting, it was electronic on July the 6th, and I'll again take you down to item number 6. We have been following the progress of the government towards blue box service and full producer responsibility and the transition in 2023. And you will note there is some unsureness about schools being collected and some other institutions. And so we're monitoring it. And the expectation is that as soon as the draft regulations are released, then we will offer comment and seek to join others in offering comment as well. So we're keeping a pretty close eye on it. Page 2, landfill report. The tonnage for the first 6 months is lower, and I don't think that comes as any surprise given that we're closed for about a month and a week. But it has gone up again in June and in July. We've seen that. The compactor was out of service. It's back in service. We had the wheel replaced. And there is some discussion with the dealer about warranty, and that's ongoing. The household hazardous waste depot, it's collected a lot of material and shipped it out, and it closes on Saturday, August 29th. We've noticed a slight increase in the last couple of weekends and expect that to go right through to the end. Our data call was submitted on time, and you've already noted been aware of the new contract that's been awarded. Unfinished business donation bins, we're still working our way through that. ECA amendment, we have it back. We had a meeting last week, but it's pretty good news for us. We have some definite timelines on acquiring the groundwater rights around us, and also on establishing the reuse center. So we can stage those into our budgeting as we go forward. And I think that is everything that I can report to you. The public awareness for curbside recycling, we had a pretty extensive public information campaign, and it's ongoing. And we started talking about our 2021 priorities at our last meeting, and we'll have those ready for the budget cycle.
Okay, any questions or comments? Councillor Hines. You're on mute, Councillor Hines.
Sorry about that. I do that all the time. Just in regard to, thank you, Your Worship, just in regard to the household hazardous waste depot, it's finished and closing on the August 29th. We don't run into September, no?
No, it's as you will recall, it's a partnership with several other municipalities.
Okay.
And it's driven by funding. To let the cat out of the bag, we in our committee we have had some conversations about running it a little longer in the year, but with a slightly different format. And we're going to try and bring back a proposal to council for funding for next year. We agree that it seems to be a very popular item.
Yes.
And, our staff have noted this year a lot of paint coming in as people have renovated and upgraded their homes, and so we expect that trend to continue.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Well, I have a comment actually. Just like to commend Reeve Emo and Councillor Sedney, who sit on the committee, and Director Asselin, and of course Mr. Armstrong. This transition over the past year and a half, 2.5 years, you may say, has been rather difficult, and we're very, very lucky to have the office staff we have. I know Carolyn upstairs, she receives numerous phone calls, and everything has went relatively smooth considering all the transition we've had to go through. So again, kudos to everybody involved. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Okay, The Chief Librarian Thompson's report dated August the 8th, 2020 concerning a security system at the library be received. Further, that Renfrew Town Council approved the purchase and installation of a new security system for the Renfrew Public Library by Yemen Electric at a cost of $5,114.46, inclusive of non-refundable HST. Mover, please. Councillor Sidney, second by Councillor Evans. Any questions or comments on this? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Okay, the CAO, Chief Librarian Thompson's correspondence dated July the 15th, 2020, concerning an amendment to bylaw number 2-1998, section 4, to take into consideration that a lay person be appointed to the Renfrew Public Library Board when there is a contract for library services, when there is a contract for library services be received. Mover, please. Councillor Evans, seconded by Councillor Sidney. Again, any comments or questions on this? Vivimo.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. You know, the word contract implies they're going to be paying, so I think they should have some say for when they pay. And it, you know, I think it makes sense to do that. Also, it heightens the awareness of the needs of some of those outlying communities that might be contracting with us. So I like the fact that they're looking ahead. It makes a lot of sense.
Any other questions or comments? I personally think it's a great idea. I think the outlying municipalities, and I can speak from being involved in Harton over the years, we certainly didn't know enough about what went on at the library in Renfrew. So I think this is a great opportunity. Okay, all in favor? Carried. The bylaw 58-2020 being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2-98 being a bylaw to govern the operation of the Renfrew Public Library be read a first time and deemed to have been read a second time. Mover, please. Councillor Evans, second by Councillor Jamison. Again, any questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. The bylaw 58-2020 being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2-98 being a bylaw to govern the operation of the Renfrew Public Library be read a third time and be passed. Mover, please. Councillor Cool is second by Councillor Evans. Again, any questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Okay, I got two motions to read here. First of all, that Renfrew Town Council pursuant to section 18 of procedural bylaw number 34-2011 as amended, approve the addition of a closed session item to this agenda, more specifically to provide the mayor with an opportunity to update members of council on a provincial matter requiring confidentiality. Need a mover, please. Councillor Sidney, second by Councillor Evans. All in favor? Carried. Okay, the Renfrew Town Council convened in closed session for the following matter pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act of 2001. Pursuant to section 239 2H of the Municipal Act 2001, information explicitly supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board of Canada, a province or territory, or a crown agency, or any of them. A mover, please. Councillor Sidney, second by Reeve Amo. We are now in closed session. I guess I should say all in favor. We're now in closed session.
We're still live.
Give me one moment here to stop the stream.
I'm sorry, Clerk Palmer.
So just give me one moment, so I'll stop the live stream.
Yes.